So good evening and good morning for those in Singapore. So we'll begin with our motivation. And so there is really no one kinder to us than other sentient beings. Just as we want to be happy and don't want any problems or suffering, likewise everybody else feels exactly the same. If we think about it, everyone has been kind to us in some way or another. Therefore, it's only proper that we be concerned with all those kind beings. We would then try to think to bring to them every type of happiness and relieve them of all their problems and sufferings. Now, if we ask ourselves if we have the ability to do this, the answer is more than likely no. And so who does have that ability? Only a fully enlightened Buddha. Someone who is totally clear-minded, fully evolved, has this ability. So what we need to do then is try to achieve that state of a fully enlightened Buddha in order to be able to benefit all beings as much as possible. So it's with this highest motivation that we share the Dharma tonight, learn from one another, grow our good qualities, and then progress along the path to full awakening. So while Venerable Children is in Asia, we're going to be spending some time with the first 5 perfections. And so tonight we'll focus on the first perfection, the perfection of generosity. We've covered these before, but tonight we're going to do a little different format. We're going to have much more interactive session here, and invite you online also to put your feedback in also. And so we're going to look at how we can or how we do personally practice the perfections, and also look at what obstacles may come up when we're practicing them. So let me just first do a brief review. These 6 perfections, or paramitas, they're states of mind that enable us to work on ourselves and to help others in the best way possible. I think of them as habituating my mind to think and act like a Buddha. And these attitudes that we then develop directly counteract major obstacles that prevent our success to our goal of becoming fully awakened. And so they're helpful to everyone. And of course, motivated by bodhicitta, then they lead us to full enlightenment. And so what are the 6 perfections? Let's name them. Asati. Fortitude. Choice effort. And wisdom. Yep. And so we train in all 6, both in meditation and in our daily lives. So first we meditate on the 6 perfections, so we understand each of these attitudes. And we meditate on them over and over and over again, because these attitudes are so opposite to how we've been conditioned. So that's why the Lamrim and the Lamrim meditations are so important and so powerful, because we habituate ourselves to these new ways of thinking and then behaving. And so when we bring them into daily life, this again means to habituate, to cultivate these attitudes, and then our actions are imbued with these attitudes. So tonight then we'll focus on how we train in generosity in our daily life. And so broadly we could say that generosity is an attitude where we are willing to give away whatever is needed by others. That's a very broad statement. But I was just thinking about, just in this life, if we practice generosity, what would be the effect of that? What would be the result of that, just in this life?
We wouldn't have this feeling in the mind of scarcity, always measuring what we give.
Yeah. So our minds would be not so tight with and fearful of not having enough. Yeah. What other things?
We set up a situation where people that we know or strangers are just happy to be around us because we're generous.
Yeah.
It just makes people happy when they receive things.
Yeah. So we stay connected to all our kind mother sentient beings. Yeah. The other thing I thought about is when we're generous, it makes us happy. We have a open heart, kind of a big mind. Yeah. So what is the ripening result in future lives with generosity in this life? Then what happens? What are we creating the causes for? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we will have resources.
Yeah, we will have resources, yeah. And why is...
Would you like us just to call out so that this happens?
Okay, that might be, and I can say it, yeah? Okay, yeah, because these are not long involved answers usually, yeah, okay. Go ahead, Tracy, though.
Well, I thought of another way that happens in this life is
Uh-huh.
you tend to lose your attachment to things when you're thinking of who you could give it to,
Uh-huh.
or how you can share it.
Yeah, so it starts working on decreasing our attachment when we're giving in this life, yeah.
And having resources will have the habit of giving in future lives, and also the habit of receiving and
Yes,
receiving other people's generosity.
yeah. So in future lives we have the habit of giving and then also of receiving, yeah. So when we have generosity, when we practice it, it means we are willing to give without hesitation and without obstacles, and give when it's appropriate to give, which requires us to use some discrimination. So what would the experience of giving without hesitation be like? What would that be like? Try to describe that internal experience. What would that feel like? Spontaneous, okay. Pardon? Blissful, yeah. Freeing, yeah. Warm-hearted, yeah. Pardon? Wealthy. You would feel wealthy. Ah, okay. Yeah, okay.
It can possibly affect our self-confidence.
Mhm.
With some wisdom going, no, this person needs this, I can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, so some self-confidence with some wisdom and discernment to know what to give and when to give it. Yeah. So what would be an example of, well, first, let me ask this one. What fuels hesitation if it arises when you're thinking about giving? What arises in the mind?
Fear.
Fear of...
Needing what I'm going to give and needing it in the future,
Uh,
not having it.
So scarcity mind. Yeah, if I give it away, I won't have it, and I'm going to need it. Yeah. Just miserliness. Yeah. Pardon? Self-centeredness. Yeah.
I'm just not going to give it to you.
Yeah. I'm just not going to. I'm keeping it. Yeah. Doubt. Yeah. Doubt of what?
It's appropriate to give.
If it's appropriate, yeah, to give or not. Yeah. So what would be an example of using discrimination to inform our decision to give? What would be that? Would it be an example of that? reading people's mind. Okay, before we have that skill, then what would be?
Well, for example, if you're in India,
Mhm.
it's overwhelming, first of all. And so to do some research while you're in a certain place and find out which agency could we give to that would properly, hand out the money or the meals.
Uh-huh.
There would be way more people being served than just, handing a chunk of change to 3 people.
Yeah.
We've given this offering to an agency.
Yeah. So to slow down and to take some time to figure out what would be the best method and who to give to, like in India, so that the people that are in need actually get it, and that it would be handled well. And that's a good example. Other example, yeah, Trace.
At Hope House, women's shelter, they were always getting sweets, cakes, candies, cookies from the community, and many women have diabetes.
Oh yeah.
So, we did put in and did a little bit of research.
Yep. So putting some thought into what you're giving and how it's going to affect the other. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what would be an example of practicing generosity that was out of balance, that, you weren't using discernment? What would be an example of that? Mm-hmm. So something that would affect you, giving more than you could afford. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maxing out your credit card to be giving. Yeah, not thinking about the result of that, even if it comes from a generous heart. But then what? Yeah, when the bill comes. Yes. Giving something that would harm in the short term or long term. Yeah. Giving out of guilt. Yeah. Yeah. So if you don't spend time with your child, then you feel guilty, and so you buy them toys and this and that. Yeah. I think that's a common one. Yeah. So it says that that we give our bodies to benefit others. Now, that's for a high-level bodhisattva. How do we apply that to our current level of practice? What would be something that we could do that would kind of be in that ballpark, but wouldn't be, I'm giving, my body, my limbs, my eyes, my life, So what would that look like?
Volunteer to work on charity.
Yeah. Volunteering your time to work. Yeah. Really, I think offering any kind of assistance or work to anybody, actually. Yeah. Donating blood. Yeah. Or donating an organ. Yeah.
Locks of love, which is a cancer.
Oh yeah. If you had long hair, you cut off your hair and give it to. And they make wigs for people that are suffering with cancer, and So as I'm going through these, it starts getting so clear to me how all of these actions are so dependent on our motivation and how we prepare our minds before we step into this action of generosity, of giving. And again, I don't know about you, but for me, I'll have some spontaneous notion to give and, do that, but without much preparation. And that is so short-sighted, actually. So short-sighted, yeah. When I give spontaneous like that, well, a couple things. Sometimes when I give spontaneously, the first thought is just kind of a pure, I'm gonna give. Often, if I don't prepare my mind before that, a second thought will come that's tainted, like they'll think well of me, or, I'll get myself in that. So it'll become a mixed, so that's often what would happen if I don't prepare my mind beforehand.
I think the motivation is really key, and this is a very small example, but it speaks to that.
Mhm.
And that is that in daily life there are opportunities where we can practice generosity. Like, for instance, you see the toilet paper roll is about to run out. Instead of leaving it, you change it and
Yeah.
prepare it for
Yeah.
the next people that come. Or you find that there's 2 tablespoons of soy milk left in the container, and you just watch it without. If there's already an attitude of I'm going to practice generosity, then there's not the grumbling mind that wants to get angry or upset or irritated by those sorts of things. You just do it.
Yeah.
It's just, and it becomes a joyous thing then, because, I get to practice generosity.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of the opposite.
Yeah.
Which is
Like it's
struggledness.
like it's something that's impeding me from what I want to do.
Yeah.
I have to stop and do this now. Yeah,
So
that
there's
mind.
already an attitude of, if I can,
Yeah.
this will be my small offering today.
Yes.
One way that I,
Yeah.
hopefully it leads to bigger things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Opposite of that is when your mind is not kind of in that place.
Mhm.
It's kind of not a very happy mind a lot of times, and it doesn't have a lot of good energy for others either. When people, well, I guess that if you feel like you don't have anything to give, that doesn't feel very good in these kind of situations, just these small things. And then it impacts the people that you're around too.
Yeah. 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 So when the mind is in that state, what would be an antidote to nourish the mind and help get out of that place?
Well, for me, I just remember how good it feels to be in the other place. There's
yeah.
a lot of the things that you're going to be doing anyway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
need to get done. So if you can have more of the kind of like a positive feeling about it, then you move through your day with a lot more joy. And if you don't, then you're just kind of like slugging
Yeah.
through the day. Like,
Yeah.
don't ask me for anything.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a drag.
Yeah.
I don't really like living my life that way.
Yeah.
And so when I
Yeah.
get into that state, I'm usually like wanting to get myself out of it or hide, one or the other. I don't know.
Yeah. 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 I always think about just what I need in those moments is some nourishment, so some compassion and some resource. So maybe I've done too much and I need to regroup and take care of myself, or, many different things. But like you were saying, the focus then turns, how can I work with what's going on inside here so I'm not in misery? Yeah.
The feeling of when I can't extend myself any further. But that to me actually feels quite like healthy. Like I'm just discerning like what I'm capable of this afternoon or whatever. But this mind is more the one that I really don't like, is when I don't know, it's a different thing. It's not so clear as that mind, I guess. That mind's pretty clear. Like, this one's more selfish, actually. It's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't have as much clarity as.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what are some specific examples of sharing roots of virtue with others? Sharing our merit, sharing results of merits we have built up through our own practice. What would that look like? What would that be like?
So I can think of two ways. The first one is
dedicating the merit of our virtuous activities.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is as we practice the Dharma, we are changing how we interact with beings around us. So
Mm-hmm.
that is part of our sharing our virtue with them.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I thought about due to constructive actions in past lives, in this life, I've been able to meet really wonderful teachers. And so then if I introduce others to the teacher or the teachings, and then that's a way to kind of, spread it around and share the virtue that I've experienced from creating the causes to meet this in this life. Yeah, Christina? Teaching, praying, and teaching the Dharma, yeah, and praying, yeah, for others, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But, organizing events in our tourism,
Uh-huh.
joining people who we have exclusive
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, planning events, creating events, bringing others in to share in that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. I think anything that we have to offer, our skill and abilities that we consciously offer to others, is part of this process of because if you start tracing back, where did I get this knowledge, and we see how there's some virtue that's involved in this happening, and then how I treat it. I don't miserly keep the information to myself and I don't share it. Instead, I share and open it to others. Yeah. So there's 3 parts to generosity. So we've gone over this, but let's start thinking about this in terms of our own practice and how we engage in these kinds of generosity. So the first is the generosity of giving material aid. And this refers to possessions, food, clothing, money, time, any other material things, I think. And so what I thought about this one was, when you give something to someone, are you aware of your motivation? Is there a motivation there? I mean, there's something there. It wouldn't happen. But what is that generally? What would you say? So when you actually think about giving something, that comes up for you, that I want to make them happy. I want them to be
I
happy.
think it's just a small thing.
Uh-huh.
It's one way to
Uh-huh.
do it at my level.
Uh-huh. Yeah, nice. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Are there times when you enter into an offering something to someone and you're not really clear about the motivation? It's not been very developed or articulated internally? I mean, that's my case often, I would say. Yeah. Yeah. So I think for me, this is one area to really start working on developing and getting much more clarity. And I think, in this, at least in this culture, it seems to me like, at least how I have been conditioned to think about, I'm going to give something so that I can practice generosity, and so may this help me become fully awakened. That doesn't seem so, how would I say that? That sounds like something that's just going to roll off my tongue, And so it almost seems Just because it's so unfamiliar, it almost seems kind of braggy or something to me, even though it's not. And I think that's kind of Western culture, Don't brag about that stuff. But the problem with not getting really clear about what we're offering and why we are is that we lose out in creating this merit, which is so important. I don't know. Does other people have that? Yeah.
Along those same lines, there was a period of time where I would make just a water offering to His Holiness every morning, and it became such a lovely ritual that I enjoyed, and I would really think about the emptiness of the person offering, the emptiness of the offering itself, the emptiness of the action offering. And I noticed that as I did that each morning, that it started to filter into other moments where I was giving something.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine, I'm like you in terms of having a little bit of difficulty of constantly having this goal of I want to achieve enlightenment, and therefore everything I do within the day needs to be motivated with that in mind.
Yeah.
Having that be so conscious. But I do have this other little experience that showed me that those little moments do add up and they make a difference. But consistency is the key, isn't it?
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Yeah. So in the Lamrim Chimo, it lists 3 attributes in motivation for giving. The first one is a focus on purpose, and that's just what we've been talking about. So based on this giving, I will complete the perfection of generosity, a precondition of enlightenment. So, to think of actually saying that, to actually think that. And of course, like you said, setting that kind of motivation, how it would affect your mind. Yeah, especially consistently, which is the key, I think. Yeah. And then the second one is a focus on the thing to be given. And so this, one would think, from the outset, a bodhisattva gives away all possessions to living beings, so the material goods that I am giving belong to others, and it is if they are receiving things kept in trust. So how does that one affect the mind? What would that one, if we actually thought that way, how would that one affect? Should I say it again? From the outset, a bodhisattva gives away all possessions to living beings, so the material goods that I am giving belong to others. It is if they are receiving things kept in trust. So if I thought about that when I had something that I was going to give to somebody. Go ahead, Christina. Mm-hmm.
You would think about the interdependence of everything that you have. You learned from someone else and through the kindness of others, all the skills, knowledge, good qualities that came from others.
Yeah. I think also along with that, the one that popped into my head was that thinking this way is really going to start chipping away at my attachment. Big time. If even if I don't believe it, but if I think, I've procured this, I got this, but it really isn't mine, it belongs to others, and then offer it, my relationship to it to begin with is going to be different. It's not going to be, this is mine, and now I'm going to give it to you. It's not even mine, it's just passing through. Yeah, you're giving it back. Yeah. And that's why, when I was thinking about this, then that's why Venerable is so clear with us about when we bring things to the Abbey, we mentally give them to the Abbey. This is that practice, really. This is that practice. Yeah.
I could see there would be a lot of joy and a sense of play at thinking, I'm looking for the rightful owner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
And I've heard
nice.
people say that to
Oh,
me
that's
off and on
nice. Yeah.
in the past. And
Yeah.
once they feel they've found that person, it feels like the perfect fit. And
Yeah. Oh, that's
goal
nice.
accomplished.
Yeah. Nice. And that's sweet.
If the mind's a little bit tight, you might decide there's never a
Perfect person. I have to hold this. Yeah, I have to keep this. Oh, yeah. Yep. I think also it would affect in terms of if I didn't think it was mine on any level or on many levels, that I could really decrease that, have this thought, then it also would cut this idea of some expectation for something in return, I think, which is a sticky kind of attachment thing too, I think. And then the third one is a focus on the recipient. And this one, you would think, since these recipients, whether asking for the gift or not, bring to completion my perfection of generosity, they are my teachers. So how would this one affect the mind if you could think this as you were setting your motivation up for giving? Since these ones that I am giving this gift to, it brings to completion my perfection of generosity. They are my teachers. For this one, I thought it would remind us of the interdependence. Without a recipient, there can't be a giver. Yeah. And then I thought also maybe some humbleness would arise, and it would also support to give without pride, kind of more pure giving. So then the second is the, pardon?
It's hard to imagine. So, well, if you're setting up and perfecting this.
Well, but see, that it's interesting that's kind of what I was trying to explain earlier, that, we have this, I can't really say all that, but why not? Sure we can, If we do, then we'll habituate to it, So, yeah, it's interesting, yeah. So to work with that mind that doesn't want to say something like that, I think is a good practice. So the next is the generosity of giving protection from fear. So this refers to helping others when they're having difficulties, helping people who are experiencing danger, harm, threats, helping those who are traveling, feeling that they're going to get their things stolen, protecting them, accompanying them, those kinds of things, giving them instruction. So on this one, I thought, how is this type of generosity affected by our level of equanimity that we have developed? How are those two influence each other?
Well, the stronger the awareness of equanimity is, then the more even the giving is, and not just I'll give to you because I like you today, and I'm just not going to give to that person.
Yeah, yeah.
I can share an example of when I was not doing it so well. I was in San Francisco for a few days, and there were a whole bunch of different kinds of street people. And some of them scared me, so I gave them less. And, they would accost you in the subway. So I give to them out of fear. And then this one particular man started calling me sister. And so I saw him 5 days in a row, and he'd smile and call me sister, and I gave him a lot of money. So there was no equanimity there at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
More to purify.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So really, you can think about this, that we're giving our equanimity to others. That's kind of a nice thought, isn't it? That we're giving our equanimity to others. This means that others have absolutely nothing to fear from us, because we're not going to cling to them with attachment, or reject them with anger, or hostility, or ignore them. So here we're equally open to everybody, which is a really wonderful gift to give anyone. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be so material, It just can be giving our equanimity to others. And again, if we approach it that way, then built in that kind of thought is some rejoicing and recognition of my virtue, which is, I think that we do many virtuous things many times a day that get ignored and lost. And I don't think that's so helpful, I think it's good that we could acknowledge it. And again, of course, we have to be wary of being arrogant or getting full of ourselves. So we have to figure out how to balance that. But I think most people, I don't know, maybe you don't agree, but err on the side of not even acknowledging. Instead, our mind is stuck in, where did I screw up? Where did I mess up? What did I not do? And that really slows down our progress a lot.
When was it recently that Venerable was suggesting that we practice more rejoicing?
Yeah, more rejoicing, yeah. Uh-huh.
I think when we think about generosity, we usually think about material things, giving material things. But I like to think about just kindness and a smile, or not controlling my emotions and not flaring up and lashing out at other people, or holding doors.
Yeah.
So the non-material things, how you treat other people, I think that requires effort sometimes. So that's act of generosity.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And when you do that, then do you recognize the virtue of that and know that you're creating merit, and then dedicate that merit to full awakening?
No.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
I think in our society, time is such a coveted time. Such a coveted commodity, and when we're generous with some time, I think we can really take advantage of that as recognizing it, because there's pressures from every direction on how to use your time. And if you carve it out and give it to someone, that's very generous, really.
Yeah. Without it being a commodity, Yeah. So it's an internal attitude, Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people giving this gift of alleviating fear a lot. For example, today I was at the eye doctor's place. There were a number of people there who had just had eye surgery. And you could tell that they were very, very stressed. And I saw all these people in the office being so kind to them and, extending a hand and leading them out of the chair. And, now I think people are just more prone to being anxious. We see this here at the Abbey, with people coming. And so there are a lot of people stepping up to the plate to alleviate fear.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring.
Yeah. We're surrounded by kindness if we look for it and think about it in those ways. It's everywhere. Yeah. And so the third one is giving the Dharma. And so what are all the ways you give Dharma? Okay, so teaching or sharing. What else? Pardon? Giving someone a Dharma book, yeah. Yeah, living ethically, being a good example, yes.
When people solve their problems from a Dharma perspective.
Dharma perspective, yeah. Dharma counseling, kind of, yeah.
Supporting our teachers.
Supporting our teachers, leading meditation, writing to inmates, saying mantra out loud so other beings can hear it, having cats in the room when you're sharing the Dharma.
Taking time to take boats around.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah. How about with non-Buddhists? How can we do it? So talking to them about love and compassion and ethics that's universal. Yeah. Yeah. So what thinking blocks you from giving the Dharma? Okay. Feeling that you don't know anything, so lack of confidence. Yeah. What else? Laziness. Yep. I know that one. Yep. Feeling like you don't have enough time. Yeah. Not so sure about how to, to impart what you want in a skillful way. Yeah. 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 Not wanting to prescribe when you don't really know. Yeah. And so with some of these blocks, lack of confidence or not sure how to approach or whatever, how do we work on getting skill in that to be able to share? What would build that? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so. Yes. Yes. Oh, that's so good. Yeah. So if you're not so sure how to approach something that it's going to be skillfully received, it would be received, it was done skillfully, that where you can start is that you start with getting very clear about what your motivation is, why you're going to say what you're going to say. Then that's almost like protection in some way, I think, because then whatever ends up happening, especially if it doesn't land like you wished it would, you rest in, I did the best I could, here's my motivation, it came from a good place, I spent time to do it, and thank you, now I've learned something. So just in that way. So it takes a little courage to do that, but that's the way that we start putting the toe in the cold water, Yeah.
How do you reconcile the Bible talks about we're all students until we're Buddhists?
Well, because we are actively, it comes back to our motivation. I want to become a Buddha. How do I do that? I have to practice what the bodhisattvas do. And I have to practice with other living beings. So if I have a clear, heartfelt motivation, and what I say is totally off the wall, then I learn from that, but I don't beat myself up and, I should never speak again. Yeah, because the only way that you can progress with this is by doing. I mean, when I think about, when we first met Venerable at these retreats, back in the 90s, I didn't know anything. And she said, you will lead the other people in the room. And we all would, and you'd spend hours and hours, writing something out. And, it was just leading the meditation, and it was like, but, had no confidence whatsoever. But, she had faith in us. And she, you will do this. And so we did it. And, then you learn. You learn, yeah.
Venerable Jampa says that pride would interfere sharing the Dharma with others.
Pride would
Pride.
interfere. Pride
Yeah.
would interfere.
I asked for more clarification, but I think it might be going along with what you're saying is you don't want to look like a fool
Oh,
if you give bad advice.
yeah,
maybe.
yeah. If I say something wrong, then I feel, like a fool.
Or you open yourself up to criticism,
Yes,
and
yes.
anger from
Yeah, yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Something that's helped me is I just say if I don't have who will?
Uh,
There's no one else available.
if I don't help, who will? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think when Venerable talks about where students like, I think in the context that I've heard her say that, I think she's reminding us not to develop an identity about being a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like she often cites his holiness, saying
Yeah.
he begins to talk young and says that I'm just a student like you are,
Yeah.
an older brother.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
it keeps us from seeing ourselves, because the teacher role is fraught with
Yep. Yeah. So it keeps us real and humble and, and reminding us that we only know what we know. And, if I'm not clear about it, then I say that. I don't know. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so because when you think about it, it's not that a person has all the answers. It's that a person can connect with you with their heart and respectfully see you and you see them. That's the interchange that is so beautiful. Christina? Pardon? Offering empathy. Yes, that's, yeah. Yep, you bet. Yep.
say those things are important, that we connect with people who are concerned, but also we have some information to share with them.
Yeah,
Because Dharma is.
yeah. But I think we downplay what information we have often. We have more than we think, I think, often. Yeah. No, I think when we're new, it's like I don't have anything to say, But yeah, you do, I think, yeah. I mean, I think anybody that speaks honestly from their heart and they have kind of a Buddhist world view, that's Dharma, in my way of thinking. It doesn't have to be a list of something from the book, It can be living it. To me, that's a living of it,
Story that
Say that again?
the story to be a example every time.
Yes. Yep, turning his, yep, yeah. Yes, yeah. And what it takes to open in that way and do that always makes an effect, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not very pleasant when you get people who are trying to shove it out your throat.
Yeah. But there's the opportunity then to open with some compassion and maybe in a skillful way you could give them some feedback, So then that would really the generous, the generosity, the offering, because it's helpful to let people know how their actions affect. If you do it from a compassionate attitude, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's very hard to do, though. So we have to wait until we can generate that in order to do it, And if I can't generate that, then I don't say anything. Yes, you don't proselytize. Yeah.
Yeah, the generosity of giving the Dharma.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Requested.
Yes. Yeah.
People are not requesting.
Yeah. Well, I have watched Venerable for some years, and like when she's invited to a place that isn't Buddhist, she will give a very profound Dharma teaching and not use any framework or Dharma words, but she's helping them. So it's kind of like you go back to there are some things that are true across the board in terms of if you live ethically, that's going to be beneficial for everybody. If you cultivate a kind heart and you find some compassion and, those kinds of things. So to me, from my viewpoint, that would be sharing the Dharma. From the recipient, it wouldn't be. That's not their framework. But it would help them probably, which is different to me than me walking down the lane to the next house and knocking on the door and wanting to give them, some flyers and information about Buddhism. No, that's proselytizing to me, I don't know. What do other people think?
I know.
But when Venerable's on an airplane,
Mm-hmm.
I think she likes to be quiet so she can probably do her prayers.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone is interested in,
Yep.
this person sitting next to them and starts asking questions,
Yep.
then I know for a fact that she probably won't say Buddhist words.
Yeah.
But she'll talk to them about the Dharma.
Yep.
But, unless they ask her,
Yeah.
I'm sure she's just very pleasant to sit beside, but she wouldn't,
Yep. Yep.
initiate conversations like, have you seen my BBC talk?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Time for true confessions here. When I first started studying Buddhism, I would describe myself as born again Buddhist. And I was probably a little overbearing and heavy-handed with my sharing and made many assumptions. So I think that is not helpful at all for other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
They may have their own religion. They didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grounds for purification here.
Yeah. 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 The thing that just popped into my head when you talked about what you just said, that on the plane and how Venerable would be, and it just popped into my head that Venerable tells the story when she first met Lama Zopa Rinpoche, they talked about dolphins. So that's an example of how Lama Zopa Rinpoche connected with somebody that didn't know anything about the Dharma. And it was beneficial, wasn't it? So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Christina?
Some comments online. So by one's actions, showing kindness to people, and then waiting for the person to ask about the teachings, Buddhist teachings.
Mm-hmm.
Helping people practice compassion and kindness, and helping them generate merit.
Yeah.
Also sharing the Dharma.
Yeah.
And then writing or offering books, and then people can decide if they want to read them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, those are all good. Yeah. Yeah, many ways. So generosity becomes far-reaching when it is motivated and held by the altruistic intention. So each perfection can be practiced together with other perfections. So let's go through them with generosity and make some examples about how we could practice them in our life. So how could you practice the ethics of generosity? What would that look like in your life?
Don't give something that doesn't belong to you.
Yeah. Uh,
You're giving appropriate things as well.
yeah. Giving appropriate things. Yeah. Yeah, 3-year-old. Yeah, or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Knowing what to give. Using discernment when to give. Yep. Yep. Kind of this bottom line of not harming others while giving. Yeah. Not enabling. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yep. 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 And maybe, too, to rid ourselves of improper motivations would be another one, Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not giving with the 8 worldly concerns. Yeah. That puts it in the nutshell, doesn't it? Yeah. So how would we practice the fortitude of generosity? Keep a good heart when people don't appreciate what you give them. Yeah.
Stretching the capacity to give to. We get to a certain edge
Yeah.
and just, going a bit beyond.
Open a little more. Yeah. 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 Stretching our capacity to give. Yeah. And that one, for me, is in that moment, it's about the mind of miserliness and the work is to remind myself of the benefits of giving and the impermanence of everything. I keep hold of this and then what? I'm going to take this little bank account with me to death. I don't think so, So those kinds of things. So to work with the mind, but again, with discernment, So we don't give to the point where we're in distress. We're either financially strapped or we've given things that we really did need. So we have to be kind of practical about this also, So how do we practice the joyous effort of generosity? Yeah, just taking delight in giving. Yeah, yeah. And so that's part of the motivation, isn't it? When we're getting our motivation clear and that we could actually open our heart and rest in the joy of giving. How many times do we do that? And so again, it wouldn't be giving with any kind of sense of duty or obligation. That's that heavy. Ugh. Yeah. How would you practice the concentration of generosity? What would that be? Yeah. Stay focused on your purpose. Yeah. 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 Maintaining altruistic intention while giving. Setting a schedule. Oh, of giving. Okay. Yeah, so get it organized a bit and then, yeah. And then to dedicate the merit when we give. And I think that if we're really clear and we do this with some time and attention to it, I think that whole process would be quite joyous. It would be quite joyous. Be quite joyous.
Don't forget to give when you promise to give.
Yes, don't forget to give when you promise to give. Yeah. And also, sometimes I'll say, I'll give and a certain amount, and then I have the second thought of, I don't know, I better look and see, and I immediately say, shush, You said this, it's that. And I never waver from that. Yeah. Yeah, that's important. Follow through. Yeah. Oh, do it to completion. If you offer to do something, then you do it to completion. Yeah, not half. Yeah. 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 Yes. A focused mind that does beginning, middle, and end of it. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Christina?
To go back to Joy's effort, someone says, being delighted that I'm able to offer something instead of feeling ashamed that I didn't have more to give.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's it right there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so if the mind has that habit of feeling like I don't have enough to give and kind of shamed about it, then the way to work with that is mentally start giving all the beauty around you to the Buddhas. That really brings a mind of abundance, and that's very joyful. How about practicing the wisdom of generosity? What's this one? It was said earlier. Yeah, emptiness of the three spheres. Yeah. Yeah. There's no giver without somebody that receives. So here's another one that's interesting. How do you usually respond when somebody offers you a gift? And how does your response affect them?
What came to mind was something that happened the other day, and I acted, in my mind, what came up was the word was stupidly. Because actually, Venerable Sepul thanked me for something, I think it was last night, and I was just exhausted, and I really didn't feel like it was very kind of her, and I could have been gracious and just said, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But I was like, kind of in a stupid mind. I was very tired, but I was also that mind that comes up that can't take it in.
Yeah.
And so you just,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right I'm sure it doesn't feel so great to you because you were very kind, and I'm just like, whatever. I mean, it wasn't like that, but it could have been felt that way.
Yeah,
It was
the
more
energy
like,
is a
it's just
block.
like, I'm
Yeah.
like not there, you
Yeah.
know, and so that's
Yeah.
kind of, it just seems kind of stupid, really.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's part of that is just a habit.
Yep.
You know, and then the other part is I'm not on top of myself because I'm too tired at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Much of it is conditioning. Yeah. Yeah.
there's definitely conditioning
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that. Receiving.
Yep. So it's really important to practice receiving with an open heart. And, you know, you might have to do it through gritted teeth. Thank you, but you do it, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Because that brings the heart of abundance again. You know, if we fill our heart up, then it's easy to give. If our heart is shut and we can't ever take anything from anyone else, then it's harder to offer. So, you know, it works both ways.
Even if the string is attached, you can refuse to accept the string.
Yeah. Yeah. You can refuse to accept the string. Yeah. But take the gift. Yeah. 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 And we can do that with our own mind, you know. If our motivation is a bit tainted, then we don't not give. We don't, it's like, okay, I have to quit practice until I can do it purely. Well, a few lives will go by, you know. So instead, you do the best you can, and you focus on what was from a abundant heart, and then work to spend some time on getting your motivation clear. That's all it takes. Yeah, because self-centered mind always wants to get in there and mess it up, you know. So any chance it gets, it will do that. So, but if you set a clear motivation about what you're doing, then it doesn't have anywhere to get in, you know. Yeah. How do you usually respond when somebody offers you a gift, and how does your response affect them? Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Yeah, nice. Yeah. And again, just the final thing I'd say is that no matter how many resources we have, we can always be offering, especially mentally. And really, that's the place to start. And especially if we don't have many resources, that is definitely the place to work with, offering mentally. And it is, with the way our minds work, it affects us just as much as if we offered a material something. And so we're practicing the perfection of generosity when we do that. And then we can dedicate the merit and, have the joy of it and feel the virtue, all of that. Yeah. So let me see if I get what you're saying. You said that there are stories that you've read about ordinary people giving?
No, perfection
No.
of wisdom when they talk about its perfections of giving.
Dana. Of Dana.
The stories are always
Out of this world, yeah.
Of course, bodies and all that.
Yes,
those
yes.
are really quite extreme.
Yeah.
Even giving material things is like giving to the extent of you're damaging your family. And then, of course, examples of giving a wife, your children, and that kind of thing. Just
Yeah.
just even a simple example of some painter who worked for 3 years and then just give his wages away.
Yeah. So these stories are very difficult to understand, and they're kind of over the top and seem way too, like what? What does this even mean? Yeah.
These are
Yeah. So,
considered perfection of giving.
yeah. Yeah. So I guess what I would say with that is I would just keep my mind and my practice in where I am right now and what I can do. And I'm working on it from my side the best way I can. And I'm using, the text, the Lamrim Chemo, to help me get some guidelines about how to do that. And I meditate on it, and I'm working with getting my motivation clear and as pure as I can. And I let that be enough. And I don't so much go to anything of extreme like that because, it's not applicable to where I am, I guess. I think of it that way. I don't know. No. Maybe that's a good question for Venerable at some point, like what the purpose of that kind of writing is, because I don't understand it either. Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to stop now because I don't have any more to say.